Hey guys, welcome back to this channel, The Voice of the Past. In this video, we will unfold the untold story of the Whitmore family's twin curse, One Must Die. Before continuing, if you are new into this channel, please consider subscribing to this channel. Let's start. The Whitmore family had always lived under a shadow. In the small, isolated town of Ravenshade, their name was spoken in hushed tones, a mixture of fear and pity woven into every mention. For centuries, a curse had followed them, a grim and unbreakable fate tied to the birth of twins. One must die before their 21st birthday, or the curse will take them both. It had happened too many times for anyone to dismiss as coincidence. The history was etched into the Whitmore family tree, in old photographs with one twin always missing, in graves that lay side by side, one filled, one left empty. The townsfolk whispered about it, shunned the family, and avoided their estate, Ravenshade Manor, perched on the edge of the dark, sprawling woods. Noah and Nathan Whitmore had heard the stories all their lives. They were the next in line. Unlike their mother, Evelyn Whitmore, they never truly believed it. Nathan, the older by 7 minutes, often laughed at the idea of an ancient family curse, brushing it off as nothing more than a tale meant to scare them. Noah, the quieter of the two, was less sure. He had always felt something watching them, something lurking just out of sight. Yet neither of them could deny that strange things had always happened in their house. Shadows moved in the corners of their vision. Footsteps creaked in the halls at night when no one was awake. Doors opened by themselves, and sometimes, when they looked in mirrors, they saw more than just their reflections. But as their 21st birthday approached, those strange occurrences became something more. The visions begin. It started a week before their birthday. Nathan woke up gasping for air, his body ice cold, as if he had just been submerged in freezing water. He sat up in bed, his breath coming in sharp, shallow bursts. He turned toward Noah, who was already sitting up, drenched in sweat, his face pale. "You felt it too?" Nathan whispered. Noah nodded, his fingers trembling as he wiped his forehead. "I had a dream. A nightmare. We were in the woods, running. Something was chasing us." Nathan felt his stomach drop. "I had the same dream." Neither of them spoke for a moment. The air in their shared bedroom felt wrong, thick and heavy, like something unseen was pressing down on them. Then, a sound. A loud crash from downstairs. Nathan and Noah both froze, their heads snapping toward the bedroom door. The creaking of floorboards followed, slow, deliberate footsteps moving toward the staircase. Then came the scream. Their mother. The twins bolted from their beds and ran into the hallway, their bare feet slamming against the cold wooden floor. The house was silent now, except for the howling wind outside. Evelyn stood at the top of the staircase, clutching her nightgown, her face pale with terror. She pointed toward the front door. It was wide open. A strong gust of wind blew into the house, causing the curtains to billow. The air was colder than it should have been. Much colder. "There was someone here," Evelyn whispered, her voice shaking. "Watching us." Noah and Nathan turned toward the open doorway. Beyond the threshold, in the darkness of the front yard, they swore they saw something standing at the edge of the tree line. A tall, shadowy figure, its head tilted as if studying them. Then, in an instant, it was gone. But the sense of dread remained. A history of death. The next morning, Evelyn did something she had sworn she never would. She took the twins to the attic, a place forbidden to them their entire lives. "This is something you need to see," she murmured, her voice carrying a weight of sorrow and fear. The attic smelled of dust and old wood, its dim light filtering through the cracked, stained glass window. Evelyn opened a large leather-bound family journal, flipping through the brittle pages, her fingers shaking as she stopped at a specific entry. There, scrawled in old fading ink, were the names of every set of twins born into the Whitmore bloodline. Next to them, dates of death. Each page told the same story. One twin lived, the other did not. "This curse is real," Evelyn said, her voice hollow. "I lost my own twin brothers to it." The twins tensed. She had never spoken of them before. Evelyn exhaled deeply before continuing, her eyes filled with old pain. "Your Uncle Peter died the night before his 21st birthday. He drowned in the lake, even though he was a strong swimmer. My other brother, James, couldn't bear it. A week later, She swallowed hard. "He hanged himself in the barn." A heavy silence settled over them. Noah's hands clenched into fists. "We're not going to die," he said firmly. Nathan nodded, but inside his stomach twisted. "There's still time," Evelyn whispered, placing a trembling hand on the journal. "We can break this. I will not lose you both." But deep down, she knew. The curse had already awakened, and it was only a matter of time before it claimed one of them. The omen. That night, the air in Ravenshade Manor was thick with an unnatural stillness. The usual sounds of the night, the chirping of crickets, the rustling of leaves, had vanished. As the twins lay in bed, they both felt it. Something was inside the house. At exactly midnight, a soft whisper filled the room. "Noah. Nathan. ... Both boys snapped awake. The voice was coming from the corner of the room. A shadow shifted in the darkness, and then they saw it. A figure, tall, faceless, and watching. Then it moved, straight toward them. The nightmare had begun. The shadow moved. Noah and Nathan froze, their breaths caught in their throats. The figure in the corner of their room was indistinct, featureless, yet its presence was suffocating. A darkness that wasn't just absence of light, but something alive. Then it whispered again. "Noah. Nathan. ... The voice was neither male nor female. It was cold, hollow, empty, like wind passing through dead trees. And then it lunged. Noah barely had time to react before he was ripped from his bed, an unseen force grabbing his ankle and yanking him to the floor. Nathan screamed, scrambling toward his twin, but before he could reach him, the air crackled, and Noah was suddenly released, his body hitting the floor with a sickening thud. The shadow had vanished. Noah gasped, his chest heaving. His hands trembled as he clutched his leg, where the handprint of something not human had burned into his skin. A deep, black mark, twisting like ink beneath his flesh. Nathan pulled him up, his voice shaking. "Noah, are you—" But before he could finish, they heard it. A scream. Their mother. They rushed out of the room, Noah stumbling as he still felt the searing pain in his leg. The hallway was pitch black, the air thick with an unnatural cold, colder than before. They found their mother in her room, standing near her window, eyes wide with terror. "Mom, what happened?" Nathan panted. Evelyn turned slowly, her face drained of color. She pointed to the window with a shaking hand. The twins followed her gaze. There, standing at the tree line in the moonlight, was the same figure, still, watching, waiting. Then it smiled. A mouth formed in the darkness where there had been none before, and it whispered across the distance, though none of them could hear its voice aloud. "One of you will die." Then it disappeared. The mark of the curse. Noah woke up the next morning to a burning pain in his leg. When he pulled back the blanket, the mark on his ankle had grown, black veins creeping up his skin. Nathan saw it too. "That's not normal," he whispered. Their mother entered the room, her eyes red-rimmed from lack of sleep. "Show me." Noah hesitated, but when Evelyn saw the mark, her breath hitched. "This is the beginning," she murmured. "The curse has chosen." Noah's stomach dropped. "What do you mean, chosen?" Evelyn shut her eyes. "The curse doesn't take both. It marks the one it will claim." Silence filled the room. Nathan felt his heart hammering. "So, it's chosen Noah?" Evelyn looked up at her sons. "Not yet. There's still a chance. But we have to act fast." Noah clenched his fists. "We're breaking this curse. I don't care what it takes." Evelyn took a shuddering breath. "Then we need to go see her." Nathan frowned. "See who?" Evelyn looked at them, her voice barely above a whisper. "Madame Celeste." The warning. Madame Celeste's home sat on the outskirts of Ravenshade, deep in the woods. It was an ancient house, hidden behind gnarled trees that had long lost their leaves. The windows were black, the paint peeling, and the air around it felt wrong, like stepping into another world. As they entered, the scent of burning sage and old parchment filled their nostrils. Candles flickered in the dim room, casting long, unnatural shadows across the walls. Madame Celeste sat at a round table, her cloudy gray eyes staring at them before they even spoke. She was old, her skin wrinkled and paper-thin, but there was an aura of power around her. "You should not have come," she whispered before Evelyn could speak. Nathan and Noah exchanged a look. Evelyn stepped forward. "You know why we're here." Celeste sighed, her fingers tracing the wood of the table. "The twins, the curse." She turned her gaze toward Noah, her expression unreadable. "It has already touched you, hasn't it?" Noah hesitated, then pulled up his pant leg. Celeste's expression darkened. She reached out, placing her bony fingers over the mark. The moment she did, Noah jerked back violently, a pain like fire searing through his body. "You don't have much time," Celeste whispered, retracting her hand. Evelyn's voice was desperate. "How do we stop it?" Celeste's eyes flickered toward her. "You don't." Nathan's fists clenched. "There has to be a way." The old woman sighed, shaking her head. "The curse demands balance. If you do nothing, one twin will die before your 21st birthday. But if you try to fight it, the curse will take both of you." Noah's breath hitched. "So what? I just accept that I have to die?" Celeste held his gaze. "There is another way." Evelyn stiffened. "What is it?" Celeste hesitated, then leaned forward, her voice barely above a whisper. "You must trick the curse." Nathan frowned. "Trick it how?" Celeste's eyes darkened. "One of you must die, or at least appear to. You must convince the curse that balance has been restored. Only then will it release its hold on you." Silence. Noah and Nathan looked at each other. Evelyn's voice trembled. "You mean one of them has to fake their own death?" Celeste nodded gravely. "And it must be convincing. The curse is not easily deceived. If it suspects a trick, it will take you both." Nathan swallowed hard. "And if we do this, and the curse believes it?" Celeste's expression did not change. "Then one of you will live, and the other will be free." A heavy stillness filled the room. Then Celeste's voice dropped even lower. "But beware." She glanced between them. "If you make a mistake, the curse will grow angry, and the consequences—" She let the words hang in the air. Noah exhaled. "Then we can't fail." Nathan nodded. "We won't." Evelyn swallowed back her fear. "We'll do it." But Celeste didn't look relieved. She only whispered one last warning. "The curse is watching, and it does not like to be tricked." The ride home from Madame Celeste's was silent. The weight of her warning hung over them, pressing down like an unseen force. Evelyn gripped the steering wheel tightly, her knuckles pale. "We have to be careful," she said. "One mistake, and the curse takes both of you." Noah exhaled sharply. So how do we do this? How do we make it believe one of us is dead? Nathan ran a hand through his hair. We fake it. A staged accident, maybe? Evelyn shook her head. Too risky. The curse is intelligent. It doesn't care about what people see. It knows when a soul has left a body. Noah stiffened. So it has to feel real? Celeste's words echoed in his head. Convincing. The curse is not easily deceived. Nathan's voice was quiet. What if one of us goes into a near-death state? A coma or something? Evelyn's expression darkened. That's dangerous. But it might work, Noah said. If one of us is clinically dead, even for a short time, the curse might believe it. Nathan hesitated. Who's going to be the one to die? Silence. Then Noah spoke. I will. Evelyn turned sharply toward him. Noah, no? It already marked me, he cut in. I have a better chance of tricking it. If we do this right, it will think it's already won and leave Nathan alone. Nathan clenched his jaw. Then we need someone who can stop your heart and bring you back. Evelyn's lips parted in horror. You mean someone who can kill you, temporarily? Noah nodded. We need help. And they knew exactly who could do it. The doctor's secret Dr. Adrian Vance had been the Whitmore family's doctor for years, but what most people didn't know was that he had a dark past, a past that included knowledge of near-death experiments. The moment Evelyn brought up the curse, his face went pale. I knew this day would come, he muttered, pouring himself a drink. You believe in it? Noah asked. Vance gave a grim smile. I've lived in Ravenshade long enough to know that the Whitmore curse isn't a myth. Evelyn leaned forward. Can you help us? Vance sighed. You're asking me to stop your heart and bring you back. Noah nodded. For just a few minutes. Vance hesitated, then downed his drink. Fine. But if this goes wrong... Nathan finished for him. Then the curse wins. A deadly gamble. The night before their 21st birthday, they set the plan in motion. Noah lay on the operating table in Vance's underground clinic, the cold steel beneath him sending shivers up his spine. Electrodes were attached to his chest, a defibrillator nearby. Evelyn squeezed his hand. Are you sure about this? Noah forced a smile. It's the only way. Nathan stood beside him, tense. 3 minutes. No longer. Vance nodded. I'll administer the drug to stop his heart, then restart it within 3 minutes. Any longer and... Noah swallowed. He didn't need to hear the rest. Vance prepped the syringe. On my count. Nathan's hand tightened into a fist. 3, 2. Noah took his last deep breath. 1. The needle entered his skin. His vision blurred. And then, darkness. Noah's heartbeat slowed. His body felt heavy, like he was sinking into a deep, dark abyss. His lungs refused to pull in air. Coldness spread through his veins, numbing every inch of him. Then, for a brief moment, silence. And then, he opened his eyes. Noah was no longer in the clinic. He stood in a vast, empty void, gray mist swirling around him. The air felt thick, like he was trapped between two realities. The silence was overwhelming, until a whisper slithered through the air. You do not belong here. Noah turned sharply. A figure emerged from the mist, the same shadow that had haunted them before. But now, it was clearer. Its face was not blank anymore. It was a reflection of him. Noah staggered back. What? The shadow smiled. His smile. You think you can trick me? It said, voice dripping with malice. Noah's breath hitched. The curse knew. The shadow lunged, grabbing Noah by the throat. You cannot escape me. One must die. Noah struggled, gasping for air. The world around him shook, distorting. And then, bzzzt. A violent shock tore through his body. Noah jerked upright with a gasp, his lungs burning as he sucked in air. He was back. Dr. Vance removed the defibrillator paddles, his expression tense. "You flatlined for 2 minutes." Nathan grabbed Noah's shoulders. "Are you okay?" Noah's lips trembled. "It knows." Evelyn's face went pale. "What do you mean?" Noah's hands clenched into fists. "The curse knows we tried to trick it, and it's angry." The temperature in the room dropped suddenly. Then, the lights flickered. A gust of wind rushed through the clinic, even though there were no open windows. The shadows on the walls twisted unnaturally, stretching toward Noah. And then, they heard it. A low, guttural laugh. The curse was here. A deadly warning. Vance grabbed his medical bag. "We need to get out, now." But as they moved toward the door, the walls began to warp. The floor beneath them shifted, as if the entire building was breathing. Then, the door slammed shut on its own. A whisper filled the air. "You cannot run." Nathan grabbed Noah's arm. "We have to fight it." The curse laughed. The shadows coiled, forming into a darkened figure in the center of the room. Its head tilted, and its voice was almost amused. "A soul must be taken. Since you refuse to give one, I will choose." Noah's stomach dropped. The curse lifted a shadowed hand, and suddenly, Evelyn choked on air. Her body convulsed violently, her eyes wide in shock as dark tendrils wrapped around her throat. "No!" Noah lunged toward her, but something invisible held him back. Nathan's voice cracked. "Let her go." The shadow's smile widened. One twin, or the mother dies. Noah's chest tightened. It was giving them a choice. But could they make it? Someone had to die. Evelyn's body convulsed, her feet lifting off the ground as the curse's dark tendrils tightened around her throat. Her eyes were wide with panic, her fingers clawing at the invisible force choking the life out of her. Noah and Nathan lunged forward, but an unseen force threw them back, slamming them against the walls. "One must die." The shadow's voice echoed through the room, its words heavy, final. Noah's pulse pounded, his mind raced. The trick had failed. The curse was done waiting. Nathan gritted his teeth. "Take me." Noah's head snapped toward his brother. "Nathan, no." Nathan turned to him, his expression calm, resigned. "It was always supposed to be one of us, Noah." Evelyn let out a strangled sound, her body twitching violently as the darkness around her grew stronger. Nathan stepped forward, his jaw tight. "You win," he told the curse. "Take me. Let my mother go." The shadow tilted its head, as if considering the offer. Then it moved. The tendrils around Evelyn released, and she collapsed to the floor, gasping for breath. Noah scrambled toward her, pulling her into his arms. "Mom!" But as Evelyn coughed and sobbed, the darkness wrapped itself around Nathan. Noah's breath caught. "No, no, no." Nathan turned toward him, smiling weakly. "It's okay, bro." "No, it's not." Noah rushed forward, but a force held him back. "We can fix this." Nathan shook his head. "We tried." The shadow's grip tightened around him, pulling him into the void. Nathan gasped as the darkness engulfed him, his body disappearing into the shadow's form. Noah screamed, "Nathan!" Nathan's voice was faint, distant. "Stay alive, Noah." And then, he was gone. The shadow vanished, taking Nathan with it. The air grew still. The temperature returned to normal. The lights flickered, then stabilized. It was over. The curse had taken its soul. The aftermath, Noah collapsed to his knees, his entire body shaking. His mother clung to him, sobbing into his shoulder. Dr. Vance stood in stunned silence, his face pale. Nathan was gone. Noah's breath shuddered. The reality hit him like a knife to the gut. His brother had saved him. But at what cost? Evelyn wiped her tear-streaked face. "It should have been me," she whispered. Noah clenched his fists. It should have been neither of us. But fate had chosen otherwise. The curse had been satisfied, and now Nathan was lost to the darkness. Forever. Or was he? The silence in the clinic was deafening. Nathan was gone. Noah stared at the empty space where his brother had stood just seconds ago, his mind refusing to accept it. The curse had taken him, swallowed him whole into the darkness. Evelyn trembled against him, her body shaking with silent sobs. Dr. Vance still hadn't spoken, his hands clutching the edges of the table as if steadying himself. It was over, except it wasn't. Because something was wrong. Noah's chest tightened. He felt it before he saw it. An unshakable, gnawing feeling in the back of his mind, like someone was watching him. Then, the lights flickered again, and a whisper, so faint, so distant, brushed against the air. Noah. Noah's breath caught. That voice. It wasn't the curse. It was Nathan. Evelyn lifted her head. "Did you hear that?" Noah nodded, his heart hammering. He turned to Vance. "Is there a way to bring him back?" Vance looked at him like he was crazy. "You don't bring someone back from the curse." But Noah's gut told him otherwise. The whisper, it wasn't just a memory, it was real. Nathan was still there, somewhere, trapped, and Noah was going to get him back. The descent into darkness. There was only one place to go. The Whitmore family had long been tied to the woods outside Ravenshade, the same woods where every twin in their bloodline had met their end. If Nathan's soul was anywhere, it was there. Noah drove into the night, Evelyn beside him, her hands wringing in her lap. "This is madness," she whispered. But she didn't stop him. She couldn't, because deep down, she felt it too. Nathan wasn't fully gone. As they reached the woods, the air changed. The wind stilled. The trees stood unnaturally still as if frozen in time. And then, just beyond the tree line, Noah saw it. A figure, standing alone. Nathan. Noah's pulse spiked. Nathan! He ran forward, but something was wrong. Nathan's face was blank, his body stiff. The darkness clung to him, twisting like an unnatural shadow. His mouth opened, but it wasn't his voice that came out. "You should have left," Noah skidded to a stop. The curse still had him. Nathan wasn't free. He was becoming part of it. Evelyn clutched Noah's arm. "He's still in there." Noah clenched his jaw. "Then I'm bringing him back." The last gamble. Noah stepped forward. "Nathan, it's me." Nathan's eyes flickered, just for a second. Noah gritted his teeth. "You told me to stay alive, but not without you." The darkness twisted around Nathan's form. "One must stay. One must leave." The curse's voice, ancient, cruel, spoke through Nathan's lips. Noah's stomach twisted. "You said one must die. Nathan is already gone. He's already yours." The shadow hesitated. Evelyn grasped Noah's hand, stepping forward. "You took what you wanted," she said firmly. "It's over." Nathan shuddered. The darkness wavered. Noah seized his chance. "Nathan, fight it." For a moment, nothing happened. Then, Nathan took a sharp breath. The shadows around him screeched, writhing in agony as he broke free. His body lurched forward, falling into Noah's arms. The darkness exploded, sending a deafening shockwave through the woods. The trees shook violently, the air ripped apart by a piercing scream. And then, silence. Nathan gasped, his body alive, solid, real. Noah held onto him tightly, barely believing it. "You're back." Nathan coughed, his voice hoarse. "Took you long enough." A weak laugh broke from Noah's throat. Then Nathan looked at him, his expression shifting. "Did we win?" Noah swallowed, his gaze drifting toward the shadows that had vanished. The woods were silent again. The curse was gone. For the first time in centuries, a pair of Whitmore twins had survived. Epilogue. A new legacy. A week later, the Whitmore family left Ravenshade. They never spoke of the curse again. Madame Celeste had only one thing to say when she saw them. You changed fate. Noah and Nathan lived, but neither of them ever forgot the moment they stood on the edge of death. Because even though the curse was gone, something in the woods still watched them, and it never truly left. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more stories like this, hit that like button and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And let me know on which topic you would like to see stories next. And check out these other stories you might enjoy. See you in the next one. Till then, take care and goodbye.